When I was assigned to the Sol System incident, I should have asked for a transfer. Any diplomat with even half a working brain knows one simple rule. Humans are not a safe assignment. But I didn't leave. And now I regret everything. My name is Captain Ran Zevi, Senior Diplomat of the Polaran Alliance. 17 interspecies conflicts survived. Officially decorated. Unofficially, I've never been this tired in my life. Because what I saw at the Proxima station wasn't diplomacy. It was the moment the galaxy stopped being in control. I'm writing this report as a warning to every intelligent species that might one day read it. And I need to be honest. I should probably be drunk while writing this. Not lightly drunk. I mean the kind of drunk where your brain forgets what fear feels like. Because after Proxima, I remember too much. Let me start with the official records. The Galactic Concord classifies Earth as a Class 3 developing civilization. Promising diplomatic potential, they said. That description is a joke. A very dangerous joke. That's like calling a supernova a slightly bright star. Most species in our galaxy evolved the same way. Through cooperation. The Terrans formed hive unity to survive ice ages. The Vizui learned communication through chemical signals. My own people spent thousands of years perfecting political consensus before we even built faster than light engines. Slow progress. Careful minds. Predictable behavior. That is what the galaxy understands. And then, there are humans. First contact with Earth happened only 30 cycles ago. A simple signal. Primitive radio waves. Standard procedure was expected. Slow communication. Cultural exchange. Gradual integration into galactic society. Nothing unusual. Nothing dangerous. That was the assumption. We were wrong. Humans didn't join the galaxy. They entered it like they had already been waiting for us. Within a decade. They built embassies on 17 different worlds. Negotiated trade deals that favored them against ancient merchant guilds. Learned alien languages faster than translation systems could process. And still, that wasn't the scary part. The scary part was how they behaved during conflict. In civilized space, conflict is controlled. We use arbitration councils, diplomatic negotiations, economic pressure, structured compromise. Violence is the last step. Always. Humans followed every rule perfectly. They attended every meeting, signed every treaty, smiled at every negotiation. They looked compliant, almost too compliant, like something watching and learning. We should have studied their history more carefully. Hidden inside their records was a pattern. One phrase appeared again and again across cultures. We do not negotiate with terrorists. At the time, the Council dismissed it as cultural storytelling, a historical curiosity. Nothing more. That was mistake number one. Because while the galaxy evolved toward compromise, one civilization evolved toward something else entirely. Then came the Vorax Collective. If humans are unpredictable, the Vorax are something worse. They are structured dominance.
No compromise. No empathy.
No middle ground. Only control. They joined the Concord 2 centuries ago. Officially as allies. Unofficially, as parasites with paperwork. They smile. But everything behind that smile is calculation. And then it happened. Vorax separatists seized the Proxima Research Station, a high-value scientific facility, and they took hostages, including scientists, engineers, security personnel, and
22 humans.
That number changed everything. I still remember the moment I heard it. Humans, I asked. Tell me you're joking. I wish I were, my assistant replied. Then the Vorax commander issued their demands. Full access to quantum displacement technology. Recognition of their territorial claims. 48 hours to comply, or hostages begin dying. The council response was immediate. And predictable. We were told to negotiate. To be patient. To follow protocol. Always protocol. Because that is what civilized species do. And then, Earth spoke. For the first time in the entire crisis, the human representative stepped forward. Ambassador Natasha Colville. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The Sol System Alliance requests immediate authorization for military intervention. Silence. Then chaos. Unacceptable. Violation of procedure. Too early for force. The chamber erupted. Because humans had broken the most sacred rule. Wait your turn. The council voted. Negotiation first. Military action last. Always last. And Ambassador Covell simply said, Earth formally objects to this decision. Then she walked out.
No argument. No emotion.
Just exit. That was the moment I should have understood. That wasn't surrender. That was preparation. Because only hours later, I received my assignment. I had been appointed lead negotiator for the Proxima crisis. A diplomatic role. A formal title. A polite way of saying, good luck surviving this. And deep down, I already knew. This wasn't going to be negotiation. This was going to be something else entirely, to be why the time I reached my post, the situation had already stopped feeling like diplomacy. It felt like pressure building inside a sealed chamber. And I was standing right next to the valve. Commander Dravak of the Vorax Collective was already inside Proxima Station. Smiling. That was the worst part. Vorax don't smile for comfort. They smile when they already believe they've won. Captain Zevi, he purred through the hololink. How fortunate the Concorde sent someone experienced. I kept my voice steady. Commander Dravak, let's focus on resolving this without loss of life. He tilted his head. As long as you cooperate, there will be no unnecessary loss. That word, unnecessary, should have warned me. Behind him, I saw them. Hostages. Scientists from multiple species. And among them,
Humans.
Grouped together. Silent. Watching. Not afraid. Just alert. Like they were waiting for a signal only they could hear. Dravak continued. We require full access to the Quantum Displacement Project, and recognition of our territorial claim over the Ryle sector. A pause. Failure will result in executions every hour. He said it like he was discussing weather conditions. That's when the timer began. 48 hours. Then 47. Then less. Every second became heavier. The council insisted on protocol. Always protocol. It was like watching a slow machine try to stop a fire by politely asking it to burn less. Negotiation teams were assigned. Cultural mediators deployed. Economic incentives drafted. Everything except urgency. And Earth. Earth stayed quiet. Too quiet. That was the first thing that bothered me. Humans never stay quiet during a crisis involving their own people. Never. I requested a direct channel to their liaison. No response. I tried again. Still nothing. It was like their entire diplomatic system had vanished. At our 36, I finally got something. A single message from Earth's military advisory channel. Short. Cold. Unusual. Monitoring continues. All necessary measures are being prepared.
No explanation. No reassurance.
Just preparation. Meanwhile, Dravak grew impatient. He wanted movement. Progress. Fear. And when diplomacy didn't move fast enough, he decided to force it. A hostage was dragged forward. A Toran scientist. Old. Defenseless. Dravak turned toward me. Progress must be proven, Captain. I felt my stomach tighten. This is unnecessary, I said quickly. We are negotiating. He smiled wider. Then negotiate faster. The weapon fired. The transmission didn't even glitch. The body simply collapsed. Silence followed. Dravak looked at me calmly. 47 hours remain. Then he corrected himself. 47 hours, minus one life. That was the moment the entire room changed. Not just fear. Something deeper. Understanding. And then, everything from Earth went dark. No diplomatic messages. No military updates.
No satellite chatter.
Nothing. It was as if humanity had stepped out of the galaxy entirely. I contacted Dr. Eliza Reeves, the lead human scientist on Proxima. Her response came through a narrow encrypted channel. Her voice was calm. Too calm again. "Captain Zevi," she said. "You should move your ship away from the station." I frowned. "Doctor, are you aware a hostage situation is ongoing?" A pause. Then she said something that didn't fit anything I understood. "They killed Sentinel-6." I stopped. "Who is Sentinel-6? Silence. Then. He was not just a scientist. Another pause. He was family. I tried to respond. "Doctor, we can still resolve this through." She interrupted me. "No, Captain. We can't." Then her voice lowered. And I swear, it changed. Not angry. Not emotional. Just final. "You should move your ship." A pause. "Now." The channel cut. I didn't move immediately. That was my second mistake. Because deep in space, decisions don't wait for comfort. They wait for consequences. At hour 30, I tried contacting Earth again. Nothing. At hour 28. Nothing. At hour 24. Still nothing. But something else was happening. Sensors were picking up movement. Not outside the station. Inside nearby space. Unregistered kraft. Small. Fast. Too small for military ships. Too fast for civilian ones. My tactical officer spoke slowly. "Captain, these are not Concorde vessels." I leaned forward. "Then what are they?" He hesitated. "Human drop craft." I stared at the screen. Hundreds of them. Hidden. Waiting. Already in position. And then I understood something I wish I had understood earlier. Earth had not gone silent because they were absent. Earth had gone silent because they were already in place. And the countdown was no longer Vorax-controlled. It was human-controlled. The first sign that something had changed was not an explosion. It was silence. A complete system silence. Proxima Station didn't fail. It stopped responding. No internal comms. No external signals. No security alerts. Just darkness across every channel. My tactical officer froze. "Captain, we've lost all station telemetry." I narrowed my eyes. "Explain." He swallowed. "Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just offline." That was worse. Because systems don't go silent unless someone chooses to silence them. Then the second wave hit. Energy interference. A field forming around the station. Expanding. Clean. Controlled. Jamming field confirmed, sensors reported. All communications blocked. I felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't chaos. This was precision. Dravak noticed it too. His voice came through the channel, suddenly sharper. "What is happening outside my station?" For the first time. He sounded unsure. Then alarms started inside Proxima. Not Vorax alarms. Station alarms. Dravak turned toward his officers. "Secure all sectors. Increase hostage control." But something was wrong. His guards weren't responding as fast anymore. They were distracted. Listening. To nothing visible. Then it began. The hull breach points. My sensors detected impacts. Not large ones. Small, calculated hits. Perfect spacing. Perfect timing. "Incoming objects detected," my officer said. I leaned forward. "Identify." He hesitated. "Human origin." And then I saw them. Drop pods. Small assault craft. Barely larger than a survival capsule. Moving too fast to track properly. Too precise to be random. They didn't attack randomly. They targeted structural weak points. Every impact followed a pattern. Every strike opened a controlled entry path. And Dravak's confidence finally cracked. "That is impossible," he growled. "There are no external fleets in range." But the truth was already unfolding. Inside the station. Not outside it. The first explosion came from Sector 7. Then Sector 4. Then command infrastructure began failing one by one. Not destroyed. Disabled. A systems engineer whispered beside me. "Captain, Something is overriding station control. I looked at him. Source. His voice dropped. Internal access. That word hit harder than any explosion. Internal. Someone was already inside. Then the main display flickered. For a moment. Static. Then a human face appeared. Dr. Eliza Reeves. Breathing slightly fast. Wearing combat gear over a lab coat. Calm eyes. Controlled voice. Captain Zevi, she said. Just updating you so you don't panic. Behind her, armored humans moved through corridors like shadows with purpose.
No chaos. No hesitation.
Only direction. I couldn't process it. How are you inside the station? She tilted her head slightly. We've been inside for days. Silence. Even my officer stopped breathing for a moment. Days. I repeated. That's not possible. The invasion just started. She looked almost amused. It started when they took the station. A pause. We just waited for them to settle in. My mind tried to connect the pieces. Then she continued. You see, Captain, the station wasn't just taken. It was observed. Every security system, every transmission, every movement, all of it tracked, all of it mapped, and every system they trusted, she added. We helped design it. I felt a slow realization forming. You built this station. She nodded slightly. We helped optimize it. Then corrected herself. For ourselves. A distant explosion shook the channel. She didn't even look behind her. That's Team 3 reaching Command Center. Dravak's voice cut in suddenly. Who is this woman? His tone was no longer arrogant. It was unstable. Reeves finally looked directly at him. Oh, she said simply. You're the hostage taker. A pause. Nice to meet you. Dravak snarled. You are violating Concord law. She blinked. Then replied softly. You killed Sentinel-6. That name again. And this time. Even Dravak hesitated. Another explosion. Closer. Faster. I looked at my tactical screen. Human units were no longer just entering. They were converging. Moving like a single coordinated organism.
No guastidmotion. No confusión.
Only execution. Captain Zevi, Reeves said into the channel again. Quick update. A pause. We have full control of internal security systems. Another pause. And your terrorists are now contained. Ist er daher? How many of you are there? She smiled slightly. That's not the right question. She leaned closer to the camera. The right question is, how long did you think you were in control? Then she disappeared from the feed. All systems briefly returned. Then shut down again. And in that silence, I realized something horrifying. The Vorax had never been negotiating. They had been delaying the inevitable. Because the humans weren't reacting. They were executing a plan already in motion. And Proxima Station was no longer a hostage situation. It was a cleanup operation. The station didn't fall. It was taken apart from the inside. Piece by piece. System by system. With terrifying precision. My senses showed something I didn't understand at first. No large-scale destruction.
No uncontrolled firepower.
Just control shifts. One section after another went dark for the Vorax, and came back online under human control. My officer whispered, almost afraid of the answer. Captain, they're not fighting the station. I looked at him. Then what are they doing? He swallowed hard. They are rewriting it. That word stayed in my mind. Rewriting. Not invasion. Not battle. Rewrite. Inside Proxima, Dr. Eliza Reeves moved like she had done this before. Not rushing. Not hesitating. Just executing steps. Human soldiers cleared corridors silently.
No shouting. No panic.
Only signals. Only coordination. And the Vorax. They were finally realizing the truth. They were not in control of their own battlefield. Dravak's voice came through again. But this time, It was different. Less command. More disbelief. "This is not possible," he growled. "We have full internal security dominance." Then a pause. A crack in his tone. "We had it." Reeves appeared on screen again. Her face calm. Too calm. "Oh, you did," she said. "You just didn't realize it was temporary." Behind her, hostages were being guided out of holding zones. Slowly. Carefully.
No chaos.
No fear. Just extraction. Dravak slammed his console. "You are violating Concord law." Reeves tilted her head. "Which part?" A pause. "The part where you killed civilians." Silence. Then she added softly, "Or the part where you thought we would wait for permission." That silence hit harder than any explosion. Meanwhile, I watched the station feed in disbelief. Human teams were not just rescuing hostages. They were mapping Vorax positions in real time and adjusting movements accordingly. Every corridor cleared opened another path. Every captured node tightened the net. It wasn't chaotic. It was surgical. A report came through from my systems officer. "Captain, we are detecting coordinated breach zones forming around Command Center." I stared at the map. "They're closing in on Dravak." He nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. And he doesn't seem to have a way out." That was the first time I saw it. Not fear in the Vorax commander, but something worse. Confusion. Because in every conflict Vorax had ever faced, there was always negotiation space, always leverage, always delay. But humans were removing all three. Inside the station, Dr. Reeves stopped in front of a sealed door. She placed her hand on it, looked at the camera, and said one sentence. "Door is open." The door unlocked. Not hacked. Not forced. Just accepted her command. My officer turned to me. "How did she?" I interrupted him. "She built it." And suddenly everything made sense. The station wasn't just a target. It was a system they already knew intimately. Dravak realized it too. Too late. Because his command center doors opened without warning. And human soldiers walked in. Not rushing. Not firing. Just entering like they already belonged there. "Stop!" Dravak roared. "You are not authorized." A soldier cut him off. Authorization expired. Simple words. Final tone.
No emotion.
The Vorax guards moved to fire. But nothing happened. Their weapons didn't respond. Dravak froze. "What did you do?" Reeves' voice came through again. Soft. Clear. "We turned off your permissions." A pause. "All of them." That was the moment Dravak understood. Not that he was losing, but that he had already lost. He just hadn't been told yet. Outside the station, I watched as evacuation craft began docking. Human designed. Fast. Efficient. Precise entry windows. Hostages were being moved out in waves.
No confusión. No bottlenecks. No mistakes.
My tactical officer spoke quietly. "Sir, evacuation is at 80% efficiency already." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Because I realized something terrifying. The entire crisis had never been about rescue. It had been about timing. Every negotiation. Every delay. Every hour Dravak thought he was winning was actually preparation. And now the countdown had reversed. From Vorax control to human execution. Inside the command center, Dravak was finally surrounded. Completely.
No exit paths. No leverage.
No bargaining tools left. Reeves stepped forward and looked at him. Not angry. Not emotional. Just finished. "You made a mistake," she said. Dravak growled. "What mistake?" She answered simply. "You thought we were waiting." A pause. Then softer. "We were organizing." And in that moment, the Vorax understood what every other species would eventually learn. They prepare it. The station was silent. Not broken silent. Controlled silent. The kind of silence that only happens after something powerful has finished moving through a place. Proxima Station was still there. but it no longer belonged to the Vorax. And it never really had belonged to them at all. Inside the command center, Commander Dravak stood surrounded. No weapons firing.
No chaos.
Just certainty closing in from all sides. Human soldiers had formed a perimeter around him. Not aggressive. Not rushed. Just final. Like a decision that cannot be changed anymore. Dr. Eliza Reeves stepped forward. Her voice was calm. Almost gentle. "This is where it ends," she said. Dravak's voice cracked with anger. "You have no authority here." Reeves looked at him. And for the first time, there was something cold in her expression. Not rage. Not hatred. Just clarity. "Authority," she repeated. A pause. "You lost that when you started killing civilians." Silence filled the room. Even Dravak didn't speak immediately. Behind her, hostages were being moved out safely.
No panique.
No resistance. Just survival finally becoming reality again. And then Dravak did something interesting. He laughed. Not because it was funny. Because he still didn't understand. "You think this is victory," he said. "This will bring consequences. The Concord will punish Earth for this violation." Reeves tilted her head slightly, as if considering something simple. Then she answered.
No.
A pause. "They won't." Dravak frowned. "Why not?" She stepped closer, and her voice dropped. "Because everyone saw what you did." Another pause. "And everyone saw what we did to stop it." That was the truth no one in the council chamber would say out loud. Because the galaxy had watched everything. Every transmission. Every execution. Every delay. Every rescue. And they had learned something uncomfortable. Humans didn't break rules randomly. They broke them only when the rules failed to protect lives. Dravak finally went silent. For the first time. He had nothing left to say. Reeves turned slightly toward her team. "Extraction complete." A voice replied. "All hostages accounted for."
No losses.
"No missing personnel."
No chaos.
"Just completion." I watched all of this from my diplomatic vessel. And I realized something I didn't want to admit. This was not a rescue mission. It was a message. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session within hours. Every species attended. Even the ones that never attended anything. Everyone wanted answers. Or reassurance. Or control. Ambassador Koval stood at the center again. Calm. Unshaken. The Council demanded explanation. Procedure violations. Military escalation. Unilateral action. All the words we use when we are afraid of what happened. And then Koval spoke. "We followed your procedures," she said. A pause. "They failed." Silence. The Vizui representative protested. "Then you should have waited longer." General Marquez stepped forward. "And how many more would have died while we waited?" No answer. Dr. Reeves added quietly. "We didn't interrupt diplomacy." Another pause. "We ended its failure point." That phrase stayed in the chamber longer than any argument. Failure point. Because it forced every species to confront something uncomfortable. Diplomacy only works until someone decides it doesn't matter anymore. And humans had a name for that moment. A simple one. A final one. No return point. After the session, I stood alone outside the chamber. My report was already submitted. My career, effectively finished. But I didn't feel regret. Not exactly. Because I had seen something no diplomatic training prepares you for. A species that smiles in peace. And becomes something entirely different when peace is used against them. Later, I received my final official assignment notice. Transferred. Reassigned. Human Liaison Division. And a private message followed. From Earth. Short. Direct. You handled yourself well. We could use someone who understands both sides. I stared at it for a long time. Then I wrote my resignation from the Polaran Alliance. 27 years of diplomacy. 17 conflicts. Countless negotiations. All leading to one conclusion. I was done trying to manage galaxies that didn't understand what limit meant. I accepted the human offer, because now I understand the rule. Humans do not negotiate with terrorists, not because they refuse diplomacy, but because they define terrorist as the moment diplomacy stops protecting lives. And once that definition is made, there is no debate left, only outcome. So this is my final warning as Captain Ranzevi, former diplomat, now observer of something far more dangerous. Humans will trade with you. They will talk with you. They will even trust you, until the moment they cannot. And when that moment comes, the galaxy will not get warnings. It will get results, because somewhere between peace and war, humans built a switch, and once it flips, nothing stops what comes next.